if I write a story and I describe something in a story and I use a really descriptive word and you don't know what that word means, are you going to assume what that word means and go by what you think, or are you going to ask the author what you think? Exactly. So when I want to know what a word means in legislation, which is in a different language than English, and they say, well, I've got to go to the author. Okay, well, I'm going to the government, which is apparently the parliamentary supremacy of New Zealand. They can't tell me. I don't pay taxes because I'm not obligated to. I'd love to. I send all these people, honestly, I give the electoral office, I sent them a conditional acceptance. I said, I would love to register my person as an elector or a voter within society, if you could just show me where the obligation is.
And then what do they say?
They can't respond. Because they can't, because there is no obligation. So the fact is, though, I give them in a conditional accept. I'm not refusing or saying no. I'm saying I'd love to. Just show me where I'm obliged. And if that can't be shown, there is no obligation, because they're saying that I have to do something. Oh, really? Who are you to be my boss? Jerry,
yes.
I'm trying to find out some information. I've been studying legislation and law and all sorts of systems for the last 3 or 4 years. It's come to my attention that I don't require a licence to travel from point A to point B. So I'm trying to find out where the obligation lies for any man or woman to obtain a licence.
Okay, so
now, I know you're probably going to say the Land Transport Act 1998 and some
No. So you never held a New Zealand license here.
My person has a license and that expires in 2017. But I'm trying to figure out whether or not I need to renew it, because I'm not looking at acting in commerce in any way, shape or form. I'm just going to be a man travelling from point A to point B, so I won't require a licence because I'm not conducting commerce in any fashion. So.
Yeah, but let me have a look at it. The thing is, why you renew it?
Yeah.
You got your license and you.
I don't want to create joint between myself and a person. I'm just trying to find out where the obligation lies, because we're all equal.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
so
the thing is,
who tells me that I have to?
The thing is, when you
trying to find the obligation.
Yeah, you have a New Zealand. It is supposed to be renewed every 10 years if you have a full license.
Okay.
The reason is that the license has to be current when you're driving. So if you don't renew, what happens? It gets expired.
Okay, so
and more than 5 years, if you are in New Zealand and you hold a New Zealand license and you don't renew it, you will lose that whatever and you have to resit again.
Okay, so there's a monetary cost involved.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about using commerce or money in any form.
So we have to just renew it, and it costs you just $43.90 for a renewal.
I understand what you're saying.
But if you have like higher classes, even though you have the higher classes, it only requires a medical certificate to say that you're fit to drive those vehicles.
Sure, I understand.
That is the thing. And the thing is, if you don't bother, then it gets like you become into a re-qualifying state.
See, what seems to be the bother here is that I was travelling from point A to point B, and I got stopped by a police constable. He didn't identify himself as an enforcement officer anywhere. He was just a constable, so he was there to uphold the Queen's peace, no breach of the peace. He wasn't there to enforce any statutes or acts of legislation. He was supposed to tell me if I committed a crime. I hadn't caused any harm, loss or injury, so I didn't know why he'd stopped me. There wasn't an emergency.
But he just checked your license?
Well, he asked me for a driver's license, and I told him I was happy to produce a driver's license if he ordered me to do so. He refused to give me any order to produce it, and then he tried to fine my person for not producing it. When I went to court, I asked for where the obligation lied for myself to produce a licence to that constable on the side of the road. They told me that because I held a licence, I was obliged through my person to show it. Okay. Now my point was that there was no joinder between myself, a man, and any persona or person. Now, my understanding that a person in New Zealand, in New Zealand, not on New Zealand, but in New Zealand, is classed as a corporation, sole and unincorporated body. Those are the three things listed as a person in the Interpretations Act 1999, Section 30. Right? None of that is a man or a woman.
Yeah.
So I hadn't lowered myself to the capacity of being a person in any society. I was just a man on earth going from one spot to another.
Yeah.
So when the courthouse produced the driver's license, that was to show that there was a contractual agreement between my person and the New Zealand Land Transport Authority to obey the road rules, right? So if that contract didn't exist, there's no obligation. So my question is, if my person's driver's license is due to be renewed in 2017, I require from a man or a woman acting as an agent for the Land Transport Authority to please specify where the obligation lays for myself, a man, to use my person to require a license, because I'm not going to be working in any capacity in New Zealand. I'm just a man going from point A to point B. So where's the obligation?
Yeah.
You following me?
Yeah, I'm following. But the thing is, like, I mean, as
The argument is you're in New Zealand,
Yes.
you're obliged. I'm not in New Zealand, I'm in my body. I'm on New Zealand, the landmass. New Zealand is a concept or a society that we all believe we're in. I don't.
Yeah,
And
but then the
I've
thing is,
put the same
legal,
question.
Yeah, the legal aspect is there.
Legal, yeah.
If
I'm
you're
not
driving-
legally bound. I'm a man.
if you
I'm not bound by
but,
legal
I mean,
obligations.
they've got their own the laws of the land transport. The thing is, if you are driving,
Not law.
I mean,
It's a legislation.
yeah, well, they are driving. If you are driving,
Yeah, but I'm not
if you're
driving.
driving on
I'm
the
travelling.
road, yeah, I'm just saying, if you're not if you're not driving the road or just taking the car by yourself, it's
But
fine.
that's the other thing, you know,
Yeah.
like my property,
If you're
my
using
car
it.
becomes a vehicle because I have to register it as a vehicle because I hold a license. So if I didn't hold that contract to begin with, the Land Transport Authority, I would have no obligation to register my property as a vehicle, because it wouldn't be registered as a passenger vehicle anymore. It's just my property. It's exclusive to me, and I get to use it from point A to point B as I see fit. But I'm not working within the bounds of New Zealand legislation because I'm just a man, equal. So this is the whole thing. It seems to be that there's a lot of threat and intimidation going on there. You know, you've got to do this, otherwise you're going to get fined, or otherwise. I don't live
As you
under
said,
threats.
yeah, that-
You know, I've rang up the IRD and asked them where the obligation is to pay tax. They told me, if you don't, you go to court. I says, okay, other than a threat, where's the obligation? There isn't any. There's no obligation to pay
Yeah, I
income.
can
It's a
get what you're
declaration.
saying. Yeah,
You
that's-
declare it. You voluntarily giving up information. I don't want to do that. So if I just choose to stand as a man and my license expires, I no longer need to register any property as a vehicle because it's just mine. It's my property.
But unfortunately, I mean, saying when we are using, I mean, when we are driving the vehicle.
Yeah,
there
but
are
I'm not a
certain
we,
times-
I'm a me. See, it's all in the words.
Yeah,
I'm
it
not a
is,
you.
but I'm saying
I'm a me,
we,
myself,
yeah.
or I, not a you.
Yeah,
A
but,
you is a
we
joining
all,
word.
I mean, we all have to. We are all doing the same thing, and I mean, I can't answer you. Certain
Yeah,
things.
I mean,
it's difficult for
honestly,
me to
I've
say that.
emailed the Land Transport Authority and I asked them that exact question, verbatim.
Yeah.
And I asked them to please specify what type of person, because there's also specified in the 1999 New Zealand Bill of Rights Act, Section 30, it states that there's legal persons and natural persons. And human beings are natural persons. Legal persons are the capitis, your name that you function through. All right. So for them to turn around and say, because I asked a lady
spoke
by the
to
name
them.
of, or I emailed her, I had to express it in writing, otherwise
Yeah,
they can't
yeah, it's
recognise it.
true,
It's
yeah,
got to be in writing for it to be expressed. So I wrote it in writing and I said to them, can you please specify what type of person you believe I am? Because I know I'm a man. I can prove that.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So she just said to me in response that a person is not defined in legislation. That's a blatant lie, because it states what a person is in the Interpretations Act, and it states there's more than one type. So when I'm asking the New Zealand Transport via email for a fax, and they are just telling me lies back, who do I believe? Hi you guys, Mark here again. I've been sending some interesting questions off to different departments to see what sort of responses I get, just because I felt like it. And I decided to send info at land transport, info at NZTA.govt.nz, New Zealand Land Transport Safety Authority, whatever you want to call them. So, my questions, which are just there, and I sent it to whom it may concern. Greetings. I, a man, and this is in lowercase I, require you to answer the following questions truthfully. Do I, capitalised I, while acting in the capacity as a person, require a driver's licence to operate a vehicle? Yes or no? Do you believe I, lowercase, a man, require a licence to travel from point A to point B? Yes or no? If an artificial person has a licence, is that artificial person then legally obliged to register property as a vehicle? Yes or no? Is a driver's licence a contract? Yes or no? Is a traffic offence or infringement a wrong? Yes or no? Is a penalty charge notice an offer? Yes or no? Upon registration of a vehicle, do property change legal title? Yes or no? Thank you. I wish you a good day. Me. So, my response was from TIA, Customer Response Team, from the Palmerston North office and in Private Bag. So, it says, "Good afternoon, Mark. Thank you for your email of the 31st of May 2014. The Land Transport Act 1998 states that a person may not drive a motor vehicle on the road without an appropriate current driver's licence. This applies to any person that drives a motor vehicle. The meaning of person is, by its very nature, that of a human being. Legislation does not define a person further as natural, sovereign, artificial, or otherwise. And that is a blatant lie. You go ahead and you look up legislation.govt.nz, you look up New Zealand Bill of Rights 1990, and look up section 29. It clearly states, okay, right here, applications to legal persons, not just person, legal, except where the provisions of this Bill of Rights otherwise provides, the provision of this Bill of Rights applies so far as practical for the benefit of all legal persons as well as for the benefit of all natural persons." You're writing here, legislation does not define a person further as natural, sovereign, artificial or otherwise, is a flat out lie. A person applying for a driver's licence is not entering into a contract. Really? They are undertaking a legislated process whereby they will be issued with a driver's licence which entitles them to operate a motor vehicle on the road once the process has been successfully completed. Please note that vehicle registration does not constitute legal ownership. Really? Then why on anybody's registration papers does it state that that paper, that registration paper, does not constitute legal ownership? Okay? So, although you are the registered keeper of that motor vehicle, legally it is owned by whoever you registered it to. Okay? Legally, that's my understanding, but I'm not legally trained, I'm not a lawyer. Your question regarding whether a traffic offence or an infringement are considered a wrong and whether a penalty charge notice is an offer are not something the NZ Transport Agency can answer. people say go to your Minister of Parliament. He's just a man like me. What's John Key going to do? I don't think he's got no authority over me. So when I'm trying to find obligations and all I strike is, like yourself, you only know what you're taught, and it's all compartmentalised, so one hand doesn't know what the next hand's doing. But I've spent 4 years deconstructing legislation to show me where the obligation lies, and there isn't any. So what do? What do you suggest I do? Who do I contact? The Minister of Transport? Who? I mean, he's legally trained.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a member. I can't speak legalese. I'm not a member of the Law Society. I'm not bound by the court.
Neither am I. The agency.
Yeah, but we're supposed to believe what legislation.
Yeah, we follow what is.
So if I write a story and I describe something in a story and I use a really descriptive word and you don't know what that word means, are you going to assume what that word means and go by what you think, or are you going to ask the author what you think? Exactly. So when I want to know what a word means in legislation, which is in a different language than English, and they say, well, I've got to go to the author. Okay, well, I'm going to the government, which is apparently the parliamentary supremacy of New Zealand. They can't tell me. It's all on YouTube. Everything I do is on YouTube. It gets put up there. I've recorded thousands of police encounters as well over the last. That's the channel. But I cannot, for the life of me, figure out where it's just a belief. People believe they're, and I'm seriously considering not renewing my person's license because I don't require it. I don't pay taxes because I'm not obligated to. I'd love to. I send all these people, honestly, I give the electoral office, I sent them a conditional acceptance. I said, I would love to register my person as an elector or a voter within society if you could just show me where the obligation is.
And then what did they say?
They can't respond because there is no obligation. So the fact is, though, I give them in a conditional accept. I'm not refusing or saying no. I'm saying I'd love to. Just show me where I'm obliged. And if that can't be shown, there is no obligation because they're saying that I have to do something. Oh, really? Who are you to be my boss? I'm just trying to be equal. You've probably not struck someone like me before.
That's some obvious question so far. I mean, that's fine. That's
it's just thinking, I question everything. But I just I was wondering if you knew if
if I don't, I would have definitely given you that.
Sure,
but
yeah. Knowledge is power, The more you know, the better. Thank you for your help. Bye bye. Cheers, buddy. Have a good day.